Matt Gaetz is out there just waiting, as we all are, to find out what the investigators have been able to get from Joel Greenberg. Well, we have gotten a little bit more information now. It isn't much necessarily in the grand scheme of things, but it certainly doesn't look good for him, although it could be worse. So let's get into a little bit of what Joel Greenberg, who has previously been described by Matt Gaetz as his wingman, had to say. So he's apparently given prosecutors years worth of electronic cash transactions and thousands of pictures and videos as part of a broad sex trafficking probe. That's a lot of pictures and videos. Google Voice messages from back in September of 2018 reveal how Greenberg met online with women for him and Gaetz to meet in person. Greenberg allegedly discussed payment options with one woman who was of legal age and asked if she would take drugs before setting up a meeting between himself, Gaetz, the woman, and one of her friends. So let's go into a few of these text messages. Joel Greenberg said, I have a friend flying in and we are trying to make plans for tonight. What are your plans for later? And how much of an allowance will you be requiring? Smiley face. This is getting awkward. The woman responded by telling Greenberg she has, quote, a friend who introduced me to the website that I could bring and said she usually requires $400 per meet. Greenberg told the woman that Gaetz was down here only for the day. He continued, we work hard and play hard. He then asked her if she had ever tried MDMA. He provided no citations for the working hard portion of that assertion, but whatever. Anyway, as Greenberg was discussing payment for the get-together, the woman asked if Gaetz used the same website Greenberg had used to beat her. Greenberg replied in part, he knows the deal, smiley face. Greenberg then said he would book a suite downtown for the gathering. So, Brett, what we see there is communications by Greenberg, not by Gaetz. And while obviously what they're trying to set up is illegal, it isn't involving a woman who is younger than 18. So it's hardly good news for Matt Gaetz, but so far this really does seem like it could have been worse for him.
It seems like it could have been worse.
Well, they could have been talking about a woman that they know is 16 or something.
There was a time when, as a small government Republican, you'd get in a scandal if your best friend was a tax collector. I feel like we're missing this. Like Joel Greenberg is a tax collector. Just all the tiny details about this reveal what a fake ass Matt Gaetz is. His best role boy that he wants to turn into like some big Congress person he thinks would be good for Congress is setting up illegal interactions with illegal drugs. Hashtag rule of law.
Yeah.
This is role boy. So I'm at the one point, it is useless to point out hypocrisy, but I think it's helpful to identify who's a fake ass. And Matt Gaetz is a huge, weird brown suit wearing fake ass.
I hope he's on the Wikipedia page for fake ass. I really
he is. He's just such a fake ass. And so all these things that, as Tucker Carlson nightly clutches pearls, and Laura Ingraham, what kind of an example is this? Oh, in a brown suit, tan suit from our dear friend, Barack Obama. Like, how dare it happen? Matt Gaetz and his tax collector role boy are embroiled in an investigation where we know they refer to the payment for sex as a quote allowance.
An allowance.
Which is so daddy creepy.
It could have been, at least he didn't say like, for ice cream money. Like that's about it, the only thing that could have been worse. Oh, yeah. So look, you're right. You are right. And what's wrong with me? Like, okay, so they're doing illegal drugs. They're, they're paying prostitutes. That's it. Yes, I am broken. Okay, now of course, look, the undercurrent that we have always woven into every one of these stories is I don't think MDMA should be illegal. I don't think that prostitution should be illegal. It should be regulated, obviously, to protect the predominantly women that engage in it. But that said, these are not Matt Gaetz's positions, at least not stated. Now, if they were, we might have a different story aside from the stuff with raping girls that he's alleged to have done. If he was saying, look, yes, everything that you've seen so far is true. I did frequent the services of a prostitute. I did do MDMA. I believe all of it should be legal. And if you want to send me to jail, I will go as a political prisoner because I believe it's important that these things get legalized, taken out of the shadows so that the people engaged in them could be protected. But he's nowhere near that. And so we come off of Cuomo rightly resigns for all the things he's done. Matt Gaetz he's probably not even gonna be asked questions about this most recent data. Isn't it a weird set of double standards? They should both be out of government for the rest of their lives.
I've been a very staunch proponent of double standards because having more of anything is good. So twice as many standards, why not?
That's true.
I'm for as many standards as possible, especially when they benefit me personally and hurt my opponent in the long run. I just don't see
even if just in a petty way.
But there's a very real aspect of that is just setting expectations. And it really comes down to this. We don't wear like tuxedo, we don't wear 3-piece suits to walk to the grocery store anymore.
Yeah.
And there's a certain expectation of politicians that's archaic at this point. It's out of date. For a lot of us, that the politicians, when they do speak like politicians, to us, that is just, it sounded okay because they were all talking like that. When you would hear, it used to be when you listen to an investigation, like if you're watching the investigation or the hearing for Clarence Thomas and an era where all the politicians are talking the same way and all of the lawyers are talking the same way, all the witnesses are talking the same way, where you absorb it and you're like, this is how everyone talks. It's like when you're watching like a Shakespeare play. It's not weird because they're all talking like Shakespeare in this outdated way. Now in politics, there's Shakespearean actors, and then there's like Mamet people, they're not even there's just people who are saying, "Yo, what's up, Tybalt? Why you got to stab that guy?" That's what it's like, and
we've reached peak Shakespeare here.
But that dissonance. But that dissonance for a handful of people, for a substantial portion of at least the Republican viewing audience, is refreshed by that. And that won, because as the media itself evolves, as the society itself, if it doesn't evolve, it at least progresses and finds new iterations of itself. Folks have, you kind of exposed. Like it's like when Austin Powers exposed that James Bond was getting ridiculous. And now you can't look at James Bond the same way. You have a lot of people like Trump who are out there on stage with 17 other Republicans and just make fun of them for talking like weird politicians. And that resonated. And Matt Gaetz is trying to capitalize on that. He's adjusted expectations. So when you find out that he's been accused of allegedly trafficking underage girls, he's brought your expectations down so far that it isn't as weird as something in you believes it should be.
Yes. Yeah, and buttressed by things like the fact that their base has been trained to believe that all of these accusations are always made up, except when it's on the other side, then it's totally legit, and to think that it's cool in some way. Like they want it to be illegal for other people, but they kind of think that it's cool when like one of their people gets away with it. But yeah, you are totally right. So we'll see if any of it catches up to him. People in the chat were like, John, don't give him ideas. But like in my idea, he's in jail. So isn't that something? I don't know.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.